The government has just removed one of the Singapore's biggest property cooling measures. Private properties owners now no longer have to wait for 15 months before buying a HDB resale flat. Sounds like a great news, right? Does this mean HDB prices are about to shoot out again? Or is there a much bigger reason why the government decided to remove it now? In this video, let's break it down. Hello everyone, I'm Eunice here. If you see from these articles, right, the government has announced on 28th of July 2026 on the removal of the 15 months wait-out period for the private homeowners to buy HDB resale flats. So today, we are going through what actually changed, who benefits from it, and whether this policy could reshape the HDB resale market over the next few years. Because honestly, most people only read about these headlines. The real story isn't about the policy itself, it's about why the government chose to remove it now. What has changed about this policy? Previously, right, if you sold your private property and wanted to buy a non-subsidized HDB resale flat, you have to wait for 15 months before you were eligible to purchase. And now this has already completely been removed. And the next change is actually the eligible buyers can now actually go ahead and purchase their HDB flat first. But then they will need to dispose their private property within 6 months from the completion of the purchase. However, there are still two important conditions that you need to fulfill where you cannot use a HDB housing loan. On top of that, you will need to get the HFE letter approval before you can proceed with the purchase. Now, before everyone gets too excited, it's important to know that this doesn't mean all waiting periods have disappeared. What has not been changed? Basically, in this slide itself, right, the 30 months waiting period still applies for those who intend to buy a subsidized HDB flat from the HDB directly, and also for those who intend to buy a resale flat using the CPF housing grants. On top of that, if you are intending to buy a EC directly from the developer, you will also need to adhere to the 30 months wait-out period. And third, if you intend to get a HDB loan to buy the resale flat, you will need to adhere to the 30 months waiting period as well. And so why government remove it now? And this wasn't a random decision. If you look at what's happening in the market today, right, the timing actually makes a lot of sense. Firstly, the government has significantly ramped up the BTO supplies to 55,000 new flats, which were planned between 2025 to 2027. And these are actually the strong signals that the housing market is becoming more balanced. And secondly, HDB resale prices have already started to moderate, with several quarters of slower growth and even 2 consecutive quarters of the price declines. And we can clearly see that the HDB resale prices has actually dropped 0.4% in the first half of 2026. And why they remove it now, another reason is because of the rising supplies of the MOP flats throughout the few years. So you can clearly see that from year 2025 to 2028, the number of MOP flat supply actually increased from 8,000 all the way to 19,500. And this can clearly help to balance the additional buyer demand that this policy will bring forward. And why does this matter? Because every MOP flat represents another potential resale flat entering to the market. So in 2025 itself, right, 8,000 flats will reach the MOP, but by 2028, 19,500 units will be reaching the MOP. The number is expected to almost reach 20,000. So while this policy may increase demand, supplies is also rising steadily at the same time. And that's likely one of the key reasons the government feels comfortable removing the 15 months wait-out period. So now let's take a look at the impact to the overall market. And interestingly, this policy doesn't just affect the HDB market. It could also influence the private property market. As more condominium owners find it easier to right size, we could see more resale listings will be coming into the market. And some sellers who aren't in a hurry may continue to test the market and hold out for the higher price, while the others who are eager to cash out and move into a HDB, right, they might choose to price their homes more competitively. The rental market may see slight impacts because of fewer homeowners will need a temporary accommodation while waiting to buy their HDB resale flats. So what happened next? By removing the 15 months wait-out period, right, more private property owners immediately become eligible to buy the resale flat, and naturally bringing more demand into the market. As more buyers compete for the same pool of homes, right, competition will naturally become higher. Potentially, yes, but probably not across the board. And the larger flat types such as the executive apartments, mansionettes, recently MOP flats, and larger units in mature estates are likely to attract stronger demand because they are well suited for right sizes. At the same time, more condominium owners may decide it's finally the right time to sell, increasing private resale supply while the rental market is expected to experience only a limited impact as fewer homeowners require interim housing. Will the HDB prices rise again? So now comes to a question everyone is asking. Will this create another wave of $1 million HDB flats? Personally, I don't think the answer is that straightforward. While demand is likely to increase because more buyers are entering the market, but today, market is very different from a few years ago. We now have stronger BTO supply, a growing number of MOP flats entering the resale market, and more resale choices for the buyers. So all these factors will actually help to cushion some of the additional demand and support a more balanced market. And overall, I actually believe this is a significant policy change. But it's not simply about boosting demand, but it's about making the upgrading and right-sizing journey much smoother at a time when the government is confident that the housing supply is finally catching up. And going forward, right, the bigger questions are how many private homeowners are actually waiting on the sidelines, and which HDB types will benefit the most, and whether this could eventually mark the beginning of a broader easing of Singapore properties coding measures. So what do you think? And will this policy push HDB resale prices higher, or do you think the increasing supply will keep the market balanced? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, please give me a like, subscribe for more property insights, and I will see you in the next video.